இருக்கீங்க?
Same vesti, continuing, sir.
Continuing, okay.
Good evening, ma'am. Sylvia here.
Good evening,
Hi,
Sylvia.
Welcome.
Good evening, sir.
Sandra, you'll be getting a lot of your Chennai group now.
Yes, sir.
Can we start now?
Yes, we are starting. Just switching on the YouTube.
Yeah, better, because a lot of people are on YouTube.
Yes, I'm switching on the YouTube. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, friends, I'm going for audio mode.
No, wait, man. 2 minutes when the YouTube will let them see you.
I want the full meeting, sir. Otherwise, only half an hour.
You are welcoming. I don't know, but at least you make 1 or 2 minute speech. Cyril?
He speaks, sir. He speaks.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, the live has started already. So, shall we proceed?
Sure.
Okay. Gandhidas sir and Sanjay sir, I hope you know Virgil ma'am.
No, I don't think we have met, Andrew.
No,
Okay.
no. We met. We never met.
Okay.
We never met.
Okay. Virgil ma'am is almost 45 years, ma'am. She completed
79 I completed.
79.
Practice now.
79
okay.
completed
So
in
it's 40 years.
Salamaris.
40 years, 4 decades of social worker, and she was in practice, and she's the mentor. No, I started my profession from Virgil ma'am. That's how it's all started, and in Tamil Nadu, she's one of the leading child rights activists and prominent. She's also heading many networks. Hope this experience of the 4 decades of professional practice as a practitioner helps us in understanding what is expected from the council.
Good, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, shall we start? If everything, huh? Okay, so good evening, everyone. So it's a long time we have been discussing about a council for professional social work, especially in the recent last 2 years. The voice was very loud because at one point of time, UGC has said no. So MSW or MA social work is not a professional course when it comes to asking for scholarships. Okay, they said no, you cannot apply because social work does not have a council to regulate the course. So after that, we had a lot of discussions, and especially in PSWA, we had a public demonstration where almost 500 plus social workers participated. A lot of things happened, and we also submitted them. Many memorandums also. And great that with INPSWA, in India Network for Professional Social Workers in place, we were able to move much faster pace. So thank you, Gandhidas sir and Sanjay sir and other stalwarts who initiated this. And with this note, I now invite Mr. Cyril Alexander, the president of the Professional Social Workers Association, to give his opening remarks and welcome address.
Thank you, Andrew. Dear professional social workers, on behalf of the members and office bearers of Professional Social Workers Association, PSWA, I welcome you all to this landmark discussion. As you are all aware, for a long time we have been waiting for a national council for social work for quality enhancement in social work education and practice. PSWA has been actively involved in standing for the rights of professional social workers and social work profession. Over its 3 decades of existing, have initiated advocacy for social work council and has also strengthened the voices of other associations when they took up such advocacy. PSWA launched a campaign for Tamil Nadu State Council for Social Work on 20th March 2018. Mr. U. Sagayan, IAS, former treasurer of PSWA, launched the campaign in a program held at Madras School of Social Work. This was a follow-up from the social workers meeting held at Laila College, Chennai. Following the clarifications by UGC, on social work as a non-professional course, setting the non-existence of regulatory body. The council, the PSWA organized a public demonstration on 8 March 2019. 500 and more social work professionals and students participated in the public demonstration held near Valluvurkottam. A signature campaign was initiated and a memorandum was submitted to UGC, MHRD, and NITI Aayog. On July 14, 2020, myself along with Professor Andrew Sesiraj, the Secretary of PSWA, participated in the meeting of social work fraternity called by the Social Sector Division of NITI Aayog. With INPSWA, India Network for Professional Social Workers Associations, things started moving in fast pace, and now we are in the discussion of the draft bill, National Council of Social Work Bill 2020. I take this opportunity to welcome Professor Sanjay Bhatt, the Working Committee Advisor on the National Council for Social Work Bill Drafting Committee, and we thank him for having accepted to be present with us during this discussion. We sincerely welcome our continuous supporter, Dr. Sandra Joseph, the principal of Jesus and Mary College, New Delhi, and Dr. Virgil Disani, the director of Arunodaya, for sharing their perspective on the draft bill. We have just started. It's not over yet. The way is too long, and we are committed to fight till the end, standing for the rights of the professional social workers and quality of social work education. We will work together, friends. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cyril sir, for those words reaffirming that we will continue to fight for the rights of the profession and of the professional social workers. Yes, so this is what the association is all about. Okay, we are not another NGO, but this is an association that stands for the profession, that stands for the professionals. And this council is all about that. When we discuss about council, it is all about strengthening the profession, strengthening the professional education, and strengthening the individual social workers and their rights and the dignity. So yes, and we are at the right time, and we have a lot more people joining. So we have now 72 people have already joined here in the live, and many have joined in YouTube also. And what is going to happen today? Now we will have Professor Sanjay Bhatt, who will be presenting to us the overview of the bill and also the drafting process and the history of it. And then we will have Dr. Sandra Joseph, the principal of Jesus Mary College. She will be explaining the perspective from a social work educator's perspective, what is expected and what the present bill has, and what is more is expected from the bill from a perspective of an educator. And then we will have Dr. Virgil Disani, who will be presenting on the perspectives of a practitioner. And after this, we will have an open forum where we will encourage our members to share their thoughts. And when they are sharing, I would request that if you think that there is going to be a change, you are requesting for a change or a suggestion, please tell us what is the paragraph you're speaking about, the chapter, and then what is the suggestion you are expecting and the rationale behind the proposal. So that it's easier for us to consolidate and send it to the drafting committee. So thank you. Now I leave the mic to Professor Sanjay Bhatt to give us the overview. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Andrew. My friend, Professor Gandhidas, my co-panelist, Dr. Sandra, and the senior most practitioner, Madam Virgil, the president of PSWA, Dr. Cyril, few known faces and friends like Dr. Ramesha, and many others. It's a really privilege to me to present the brief overview of this bill. This draft bill which we have prepared.
May I request members to keep your mic mute? Sanjay sir, can you unmute you and continue, please? Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, each one of us who belongs to this profession, I'm very sure that this profession is very dear to each one of us. And it is a profession, this is the beauty of this profession, the humanitarian in character, scientific in nature, delivering result to the people and giving the satisfaction to the worker who's doing this. This profession, academic discipline, is being taught in more than 125 countries. And in India, we have also almost from 1936. So say more than 80 years we are teaching the social work and practicing the social work. We are aware of the many weaknesses of our system, of our education, of our practice. And one, what we believe that had we got the counsel like other profession, probably some of our problems, or some people believe all of their problems would have been solved. Now, this 21st century is really a happening century for social work, not only in India, not only at globe, but also in India. At global level, what happened, there is a reorganization of international associations, but there was a one broad global definition which boldly proclaimed that social work is a practice-based profession and an academic discipline which is related to social change and development. Then it narrates a series of connected things like social cohesion, and one of them which has been added this time is the collective responsibility. Now, in India, also, if we have achieved anything, we have achieved a wide number of schools of social work, what we call social work educational institution. We have crossed the 526 in 2015, and probably now we are touching somewhere 550 social work education institution across the country, almost in all the states of the India. Some of the interesting thing at Indian level is that we have got almost every year 25 to 30,000 students coming out from these 550 schools of social work, and most of these institutions came into the 21st century. Roughly 450 institutions came. That's mean there is somewhere recognition of social work as a discipline. There is a demand of social work somewhere in the market, because this is a market driven economy, and there is a demand for social service professionals who can meet out the requirements of the social development projects into the various fields, right from the criminology to community development to human resource to school social work to rural and urban community development, keeps on going. Almost everywhere there is a human relationship, there is a need of social work. But what has been missing, what has not been achieved, despite many achievement, that we have got right now 15 journals of social work in the country, which I believe not too many. There are a large number of literature coming from the pens of social work practitioners and educators, and there is a more than 10 or many state level specialization based social work institutions or social work professionals associations. There is a one or two experiment of social work which have been recognized at national and international level, like childline professional practice initiative, and many other things which have come up. So now this 21st century has brought also good number of opportunities to the social work professionals, and social work profession has been very well recognized. The question remains same: what more is required and what can be done? So there is always a demand, like many other countries. Can there be a council to regulate the social work education and profession? This has been a great demand, and this demand has been, coming up from last 40 years. When I say 40 years, it was the second review committee which was appointed by the UGC. It has recognized social work as a profession, and it has recommended in that review committee that social work should have a professional council at national level. Many of us have heard, and Dr. Cyril has also told that recently UGC said that it is not a profession for the purpose of giving the scholarship. That's true. That decision came. Some other decision like came in some of the states. Now, state public service commissions which have social work as a optional subject, it has been removed. This says that since at civil services exam social work is not there, so we are not putting it into the state list also. There are many such instances happening and quite demotivating. But at the same time, uh, the first bill which came in 1992 after the second review committee could not pass through with the parliament, and then after that 2 3 efforts were made which became futile, but they have given a momentum. I will tell you that certain states have started asking for the professional council bill, like Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. Not only this, in one of the state there has been a talk of single unitary university. So Maharashtra has started discussion on social work university. Why I am telling you all this, I am trying to inform many of you, those who are not aware, that these were the 21st century achievements for the social profession that we have started talking about all these things. Then in 2 3 new legislations, Mental Health Act, and recently the Hospital and Other Professional Act, the social work has got recognition in one or other way. And in the latest act, it has got a council also for those who are working into the medical setting. So these efforts are on, and we have proposed this bill. I will quickly give you the review of this bill. This is a very small bill prepared with a great intent after considering the earlier efforts, including some of the private efforts which came as a private bill. And in this 1774th year of Republic of India, we proposed this bill for constitution of a National Council on Social Work, Education and Practice, which have to regulate the four things: regulate quality, provide autonomy, flexibility, and innovation in social work, education, and practice. This is basically necessary to meet out the goals of social welfare and development and inclusion of the marginalized and vulnerable groups. Then to create a national register of accredited social work educational programs, as well as recognized professional social workers. We were not saying directly that we need a license, but we say that there should be some kind of recognition and some kind of accreditation of social work education program, which I am very sure going.
खाना खाने के लिए
थोड़ी देर में खा लेना खाना इस प्रोग्राम के बाद. तो so that what we can say that these registers and this strength, you may be surprised to know that we have already a strength of 5 lakhs professionally qualified social workers in this country. This is a rough estimate which I have calculated, and I think that this is our strength as well. Now, this demand is there, and considering that the Social Service League, which talked of in 1923, that there should be trained social work education, and to 1936, we have grown quite a bit. And we have a very culturally rich curriculum, relevant practice and development of literature, bearing in the mind that there is not a national statutory body for social work education and practice. There is a issues relating to the quality of social work education and practice, and that is why we have proposed this national council, and we require this national council bill. This national council will have the 7 objectives. This will talk of the formulation of a curriculum framework, which will make the standard of social work education. This will develop a code of ethics or code of conduct to promote and regulate the ethical practices in profession. This will carry out recognition and registration. This will make the mapping of human resource for professional social work, which is almost from last 40 years. No report or no study is there on the human resource, what we earlier used to call manpower planning. This council will promote research, documentation, and dissemination of indigenous literature, because we are always being, carrying the guilt that we have been the legacy of the American social work or British social work, which I think we have left long back. But this load we are carrying. Carry out the policy analysis and contribution to the policy formulation, and continuous education programs, workshops, seminars for professional social workers. This bill has almost 23 sections. It has one beautiful thing it has tried to do. It has defined the professional social work in the definition section 2G, which includes the professional social workers engaged in promoting social welfare or development, guided by ideologies of Indian constitution, basically on socialism, secularism, and democracy, goal of human dignity, justice, and liberty, which are cornerstone of social work profession, fundamental rights. We have been contributing to the community development, right-based universal provision for primary education, and all. So the definition of professional social work has been brought out in this. And before that, few authors have tried to make a national definition, but not an Indian definition of social work. 2018, National Association of Professional Social Workers tried to make a national definition of social work, which is available on its website. Similarly, this is another good attempt where we have defined what social work is and what it does and what it intends to do. Now, having said so, this 23 sections bill is talking into the chapter 2 about the establishment of a council. And it says that there will be a council, and this council body will be a body corporate, having a chairperson, vice chairperson, and honorary member, which will be appointed through a search committee. And this search committee shall comprise the 2 additional eminent professional social worker, including at least 1 senior professional social work practitioner, like my co-panelist, Madam Virgil, having at least 25 years of experience. And this search committee will search a chairperson and vice chairperson, and this will make the selection of some honorary members. Then this appointment of members will have also the gender balance and representation of marginalized community, what we preach and teach. Now this chairperson and vice chairperson will be a full-time paid member, and there will be honorary members along with this council. The qualification of chairperson and vice chairperson will be at least a doctoral degree or 20 years of experience as an educator or as a practitioner. The vice chairperson will be a field-based practitioner with a 20 years of experience. So we were trying to give you a council which is a body of members of professional social workers, along with some of the government nominees and representative, like any other council, having good experience and carrying the good potential of taking social work forward. Now, if we go that everywhere we said that social work educator, there will be 3 additional secretary rank people. There will be 3 professional social work educator or practitioner. There will be practitioners and associations represented from the state level. So our intention is to recognize the state level council also, and from all India basis, the state level will be represented at the national level. The another section speaks about the term of the office, which will be of 5 years, and 1/3 members of this body will be retiring every year, so that new members coming to the every year. This council will not be something like this, that somebody appointed for 5 years and the whole council is running for 5 years. We have made a rotational system where there will be nobody will be appointed for more than 2 terms, so somebody cannot hold the association for a longer period. And then we have also set certain disqualification, which are usually like President of India or Prime Minister of India, that if there are certain code of conduct, or they have been removed from the services, or some prejudices or discharge. Now, pay and allowances as per the government requirement, the meeting, full-time appointment of the staff, there will be full-time staff. So we will have a secretary of the council who will be also, at the level of a professor or an associate professor with a minimum administrative experience of 10 years and a term of 5 years. Secretary will be head of the administrative staff. Then there will be other staff who will be taking care of the social work different activities. There will be minimum 6 professional social workers as per requirement in the council, and they all will be very educated person. Then we have talked of the expert panels and committees, that this council shall constitute the expert panels and committees in the different field, like child welfare, like women welfare, like tribal welfare, our areas of operation. And these will be with representing to the marginalized community and gender. All the members will be there. Each panel and each committee will be chaired by a convener. Then these councils will have, the panel for, we have suggested 10 panels. Panel for standard and recognition of social work education, panel for online, open and distance mode of education, panel for code of ethics and registration, panel for human resource planning, panel for continuous education, panel for research documentation and dissemination, panel for analysis and formulation of policies, panel for development of zonal and state councils and their linkage with the national council, panel for appeal and redressal of grievances, and any other panel the committee or council may decide. So the whole idea is that this is structure council, and under the council there will be panels and expert committees which will take care of the different aspect of the social work. Now, we will have the 4 kinds of function. This council will have academic function. It will be holding. It will be having the accreditation function, that what NAC does right now, and registration of social work education program. It will have a national register, which will be, so there will be 2 kinds of function: development function and non-regulatory development function. Then there will be a code of conduct. So the code of ethics or code of conduct, which shall be developed by this council. We already have a Indian code of ethics, which have been developed by the Maharashtra Bombay Trained Social Worker Association. And NAPSWI has also developed a code of ethics, but we believe that there will be a wider code of ethics by this council. Then we will have the recognition and registration of the PSWs, how they will be recognized and how they will have linkages with other countries. Then we will have also human resource planning. This is a very important function of the council, that we will identify the kind of jobs which social workers will have. We will make the social work education program. We will negotiate with the appropriate bodies. We will go to the different areas, and this will be the, then we will have the administrative function, documentation, communication, dissemination, licensing. And when we said licensing, we will have, right now the social work is applicable in around 14 ministries. There are 14 ministries which take care of the social work people are engaged in there. So many commissions also, like women's commissions, commission for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, human right commission. So we will be making a licensing system with them, as well as licensing with regional, national and international bodies. Now, the remaining part are like offenses and penalties, and power to protection to the council members, providing the immunity against certain acts which they are doing in the capacity, then accounts and audit. So these are the some of the provisions of this bill. If this bill is being approved and passed, I think there will be a definitely both kind of impact. There will be certain positive impact on the social work education profession, and there will be also some impact which have to be beared by. Like if standards are being framed, then some colleges and social work institution may have to face the challenge to meet out the standards. Now we have taken care of all these things. This is the first comprehensive bill prepared by a team of highly experienced people like Professor Bimla Nadkarni, Professor R.R. Singh, Dr. Murli Desai, Professor Murli Desai, Professor DP Devi Prasad ji. There is a young faculty, Sivli Kumar ji, Dr. Helen Joseph, and none other than our Dr. Gandhi Das, and also Professor R. Maiti Desai. So some were engaged directly into the drafting, and some of our friends will be after the initial draft. We have discussed it number of times and spent a huge amount of energy and time. This was all voluntary effort which we did, presuming that our profession requires it. And if this bill is passed, this bill will bring a lot of changes into the social work education. Finally, before I wind up, I would like to tell this bill can only be passed if you will require it, if you will do something. That's mean what is required. This bill is a collective responsibility of all professional social workers, and there is a need to come and join the hands together. I'm very sorry to say that when I calculated that there are 5 lakh social workers at the moment in this country, the combined strength of all the associations, four associations at national level and at least 14 associations at state level, if I take the combined strength of that, even though we are not touching the 5 digits, this is what the malady. And here we failed in our collective responsibility. So before I open this bill, on behalf of my other colleagues who have prepared it, and the associations have played a very great role, INPSWA, NAPSB, Bombay Association, PSWA, 5-6 associations have taken lead, and they have played a great role into this. I believe that this nationwide consultation is going on, and this is first consultation in South. And Tamil Nadu has a major responsibility, because many of you may not be knowing that out of these 550, only 120 social work educational institutions are in Tamil Nadu. So you have a greater responsibility to come out and to make this bill a big reality. So thank you very much on behalf of my colleagues. They have given me this opportunity to speak on behalf of the working group and other. If I have faulted anywhere, that fault is mine, but all the positive points belongs to my working group. Thank you very much. I will be available for any of your questions to give answer to the best of my knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, Sanjay sir, for the elaborate presentation on the background, the status, and what is there in the bill. Yes, it looks very good because it is more inclusive. It is more given thought to progressive council than just a council. So it is good to see that. Yes, we'll wait for the comments after the two presentations. Now I invite Dr. Sandra Joseph to present her perspectives as a social work educator. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Andrew. Am I audible?
You're audible, ma'am. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. A very good evening to all my friends and colleagues at this platform. Thank you very much, Professor Andrew and Professor Mr. Cyril, for having me on this panel discussion. Indeed, it is a time where I am in a slightly different position right now. But thank you so much for bringing me back to the forum and giving me this opportunity to share what are my thoughts, particularly on the educational aspects of the bill. So let me thank, first of all, Professor Sanjay Bhatt for this very lucid presentation, which he presented with a lot of passion and commitment and with a lot of hope. Thank you, Professor Sanjay, for that presentation. You have made my work a little less because I was wondering how to bring in the aspects of education and pull it out from the bill and discuss it here. But you have made it slightly easier. Thank you very much. I have a presentation to make, which I think you should help me, Andrew, to see whether it is coming up. Please let me know. Is it visible?
Yes, Sandra, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I thought I should begin with a little bit of what Professor Sanjay Bhatt said in the opening statement of the bill. He talked about, oh my God, sorry. He talked about how the bill, emphasizes on the terms quality, autonomy, flexibility, and innovation in social work. And the other aspect, which I thought was very meaningful for us, was the aspect of inclusion of the marginalized and vulnerable groups. So the initial bit of the bill talks about the preamble, and the chapter 1 talks about the act and definitions. I'd like to bring to your attention the definitions bit of it, which I thought is important before we discuss the details of the bill. There is I should say that the bill is extremely well done, and when Professor Andrew asked me to look at the bill and educational aspects and look at the gaps and the areas in which we need more focus, I was finding it really a little bit difficult, though of course the time was a constraint for me. Nevertheless, I did find it difficult because it covered a large portion of what social work education is. And when I counted the number of times the word education was used, it came up to something like 76. And social work education mentions were about 67. So it emphasizes how much the bill is concentrating on social work education as a whole. So looking at chapter 2, a few of my pull-outs from the bill, I would just highlight on that and not exactly the entire bill. I wouldn't be able to comb the entire bill. So looking at the constitution and composition of the council under chapter 2, there was and Professor Sanjay did mention about the search committee, and they would be with senior professional social workers and a social work practitioner. I think it is important for us to mention that the social work practitioner should also be a person with a master's degree in social work. Maybe it's explained further down, it does, but at this point, at this level of the chapter, I think it is important to mention that the practitioner as well should be a person with a master's degree in social work. So moving on to chapter 3, I would like to highlight what it talks about the functions and powers of the council. So I've highlighted what I think I should be talking about. It mentions about quality enhancement. It mentions about standards, minimum standards. It talks about quality. It talks about equivalence with other degree programs. And at a little different point in time, I would like to bring back these points which are important for the bill. And in section 2 of chapter 3, again, it talks about the mapping and planning the need for human resources for social work at different levels and in different specializations or areas. So I would like fields. I would like to also say that at a little different point of time here, I'm going to talk about what these levels and fields would entail for further clarification in the bill. And of course, about allied disciplines, with who are we going to ally, with which professions are we going to ally, again, would need a little bit more of concentrated explanation and focus. So again, section 12. The section 11 and section 12 are the two sections in the bill which talks a lot about social work education. So I did concentrate a lot on understanding those two sections. And it does talk about the bachelor's, the master's, the MPhil, and the doctorate levels. And it also highlights about very specific learning outcomes. And it looks at, again, highlighting again in section 12 about the standards for social work education, prescribing minimum standards. And section 12 again highlights about accreditation. It highlights about registration. It highlights about deregistration as well. Like I said, it talks about all these aspects in detail, but it's better for us to be a little bit more clear and all of us on the same page as to what is accreditation, what is minimum standards, what is quality, and so on. Here again, it talks about minimum standards again and establishing procedures. What are these procedures? And then again on curriculum framework, what is a certificate in social work, diploma courses in social work, postgraduate levels and postgraduate levels of social work. So these are the highlights which I've highlighted in red. I have wanted to discuss in a little bit more detail over here for our clarity. Should we as educators, social work educators, be clear on these terms even before the bill is launched? Of course, we are at the drafting level, so we can be clear on these terms. Now, when it comes to the practice level of social work, we are very clear about what is micro level, meso level, exo level, macro level of practice, and we train our students accordingly at these different levels. When it comes to education, we are not clear. We are very clear with what is a PSWA degree, what is an MSW degree, what is a doctoral degree, and some certificate programs, and so on and so forth. So should we clarify on these aspects of social work education is my question here. Should we be doing that? Should we not be doing that? It's left for us to discuss. So looking at some of the international schools of social work and universities, I found these terms: basic professional level, specialized professional level, independent professional level, advanced professional levels. Then of course the bachelor's, master's, doctorate, and the advanced professional level. I think we need a little bit more clarity at these levels because our education system is such that we have the undergraduate, postgraduate, and doctoral levels, and we have been fitting into this very well. So we will be clear on that. If we would like to stick to that, we will stick to that. If we want anything else further than that, we can still think about it at this level. Likewise, as Professor Sanjay said, we may not be thinking about a license, but at some point in time, if this bill is looking at the future of social work, then I think we need to be looking far ahead. For example, the national education policy that the country is looking at into now is looking at something like 2040, 2050, and where will our education be? Will social work education also align with that? We need to question ourselves. So as we know, these are the terms in international terms about social work and licensing. Do we want to include? Do we not want to include? We need to think about that. Now, particularly in India, we have schools of social work at all these different levels, right? The state universities, central universities, schools of social work, deemed university like the Tata Institute. Then we have private colleges. Then we have autonomous colleges. We have government supported. We have a very different kinds of educational programs that are offered. And most of us tailor or fit into our university requirements. We have credits that have to fit into the university requirements. We have certain number of core courses, allied, electives, so on and so forth. And we tailor our education programs fitting into the university requirements. Now, should social work be a standalone program or not, cutting across all states and all universities? And we have on one hand currently happening here, the new education policies talking about becoming multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, and so on. So is social work looking ahead at becoming multidisciplinary? We did talk about it somewhere there. So when we're talking about these things in our bill, isn't it important that we also look at it in our definitions of all these terms that we are using in the bill? Definitions are there, but I think it needs to be a little bit more explanatory in its sense. Now, I was looking at the National New Education Policy, which talks about teacher recruitment employment. And in one particular paragraph of the NEP, it talks about social workers being employed at the school level. Now, are we aware of what the NEP is talking about education? Are we aware about teacher training in education? Is social work going to answer those questions? Is social work education capable of answering or, fitting into the NEP? We need to look at that as well. So now when we're talking about the bill, we are making it very clear that we are going to have very clear-cut boundaries. There is no question of being, on both sides. This is the profession, and this is what the profession will be, and this is how we will function uniformly across the nation. So we must be aware that we are broadening our framework of governance. Now we are allowing somebody else to accredit us. Definitely, however much we have a council, the council will be in subordination with the government. So are we ready? Are we aware of the government and all its implications in education, in the control of education? Are we prepared for that? Are we willing to toe the line? Are we willing to, because today anything is social work. You can make any degree and say that it answers the social problems of this country. So are we ready to accept that? Should we be not thinking about what are the programs that social work will lend itself to within its degree or undergraduate degree or doctoral degrees? So the cautionary note that I'm trying to give you here is about, are we really serious about this particular bill? And if we are serious, then like what Professor Sanjay says, we have to really, really work together to be very clear and on one platform on what we are talking about to be the bill of social work. Now, on the other hand, while we are trying and striving to become recognized as a profession and have a council for this profession, we are also aware that in other countries, they are trying to deprofessionalize social work simply because of the rigidity of the council. Should we have, we're talking about being flexible, but will this bill become an act that will be flexible enough for us is a question. We are thinking about, and because of the rigidity in other countries, they are changing the names of the degrees. They don't want to use the term social work. So they use social care. Social, in our own country, they are thinking of other names like social engineering, I heard. So why is it? Can we be unified in this whole process of identifying ourselves as professional social workers? That would be my final question. And maybe at some point in time, as social work educators, we should be looking at the bill with a more focus on the education aspects that the bill is covering. Will we all be able to come on the same platform? Because we have different universities having different requirements, having different credit systems and flexibility and all of that. So we have to really look at the education, keeping in mind that what the new education policy is going to come out with and what is going to be our governance system at that level. So thank you very much.
Andrew? and to the moderator.
Oh, sorry. I failed to unmute my mic and speak. Sorry, extremely sorry. Okay. So thank you so much, Sandra ma'am, for I'm repeating what I've said. Thank you, Sandra ma'am, for the wonderful presentation and giving us a very specific perspective on what is there and what is expected, and even also giving us some examples from the other countries, okay, the different levels. So thank you. I think Sanjay Bhatt sir will have a lot of ideas, okay, that can go into the while we rework on the draft. Thank you, ma'am. And yes, ma'am, we will, after Virgin ma'am's presentation, we will go for the questions. Now I invite Dr. Virgil Desami, the director of Arnodya Center for Street and Working Children, to share her perspectives on the from the perspective of a practitioner. Now over to you.
Thank you, Andrew. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Good evening to everyone. Nice to meet you all on this virtual platform. And thanks and congrats to the team that has developed this draft bill, a very comprehensive one. And thanks for the opportunity given to give the practitioner. So I'm happy to share my views on this draft bill. It is really good. I'm very happy to see that we are moving towards formation of this National Council of Social Work. After so many years, it has been nearly 4 decades since I completed my social work, and at least now we are closer to forming this National Council. And I'm sure this will give proper recognition, standardizing and enhancing social work as a profession, as well as qualifying social work education. But at the same time, I have some fear, major challenge that I look at is social work is not defined as something very black and white. It has a lot of gray areas. Like anyone can be called as a social worker. When you go into a slum or into a village, a boy or a girl or a man or a woman will come and say, I'm a social worker here. And they will also have a visiting card with a name and a social worker printed on it. So how are we going to really address this issue? Because other professions, when you see a doctor or a lawyer, it is clear-cut. A mother in a house may give medicine. Suppose the child falls sick. The mother may administer some medicine, the father may give some medicine, or a relative may give something. They are giving medicine. But they cannot be called as doctors. But in this field of social work, anyone can call themselves as a social worker. So against this background, as a practitioner, we have been facing this. At least educators, you are teaching in a college. So you are the social work educator professional. But working in the field as a practitioner, this issue is there. This gray area is there, where you will say that a professional social worker or social worker, how do you term them? So this bill needs to address this issue, I think. So I have just noted down certain points from the bill. Looking at the definition first. Okay. definitions, when you are defining social work, that is under section 2, G, professional social work definition is given. And there are many points. It says it's a profession where a social worker with professional social work qualification promotes social welfare, contributes to community development, works with individuals and families groups, uses rights-based, culture-sensitive, provides research-based consultation, organizes social work education programs. When I look at this points in the definition of social work, I think that it is common to everyone. A non-professional social worker also does this. So I think there is a need to specify and qualify further what a professional social work is. Maybe we need to emphasize on the values, ethics, knowledge, scientific approach, what is the uniqueness and the problem solving. So these issues need to come into the point where we are defining social work profession. Then further down, you are giving the definition of social work practitioner, social work educator, and then professional social worker. What I feel is a professional social worker is a professional social worker. A professional social worker can be an educator. For example, I can become an educator, leaving my practitioner, or an educator can become a practitioner. So when you are defining professional social worker, I think it is good to have one definition. That is the case. Professional social worker means a person who holds a professional social work qualification as defined and includes social work educators and social work practitioners. I think this one definition can be kept instead of again defining social work educator and social work practitioner separately. Then I find there is a repetition of I and S. That is recognized social work education program means a social work education program recognized by the council under this act. Again, it says social work education program refers to the social work program offered at the undergraduate. I think these 2 points can come together. The social work education program is offered at the undergraduate, postgraduate level, which is recognized by the council. I think these 2 can be combined together. And again, we're talking about the registration. The same point I would like to emphasize here again, because you have given 3 points there. That is N, O, and P, where you say a register of professional social work practitioner means the National Register of Professional Social Work Practitioners recognized by the council under this act. So there is one register. There you are registering the professional social worker. But again, you talk about registering professional social practitioners and social work educators. I'm just wondering whether there is a need to have this kind of 2, 3 registers. The council can have just one register where you will register the professional social worker, both educators and the practitioners, because one can become another, as I was saying earlier. Then again, coming to this point of chapter 2, constitution and composition of the council. Am I audible? You can hear, no?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're audible, ma'am.
Because
Valerie, ma'am, can you remove your screen because your screen is.
Yeah, the screen is coming here.
Valerie, ma'am, can you stop your screen sharing? But you can go ahead, ma'am.
The constitution and composition of the council, in the qualification of the chairperson and vice chairperson, point number D. talk about the chairperson and vice chairperson. Of course, I agree with the social work educator profession, the qualification, everything. Earlier you talk about maintaining gender balance, but I think here also, if we have that gender balance introduced, it will be good. Suppose if the chairperson is a male member, the vice chairperson should be a female member, and every term it has to be on rotation. I remember this in our work with the children organization. We have this state level forum of children organization. So there they categorically came out, with the view that if president is a boy, the vice president should be a girl. If president is girl, boy, and next term it should be on rotation. So if we can have that introduced, that will give more a kind of gender balance, I think. Otherwise, it is drafted very well. All the points mentioned here about the committees being formed, expert panel being formed. Coming to section 11, academic functions and powers. I think it's all mixed up. It's only regrouping. You talk about academics, then you come into this other gender things like code of ethics. Again, academic things are coming in. So if we can regroup it, so that the academic functions is separated and powers are separated. And we also talk about in section 12, B, point number 2. It talks about certificate and diploma courses in social work. So how are we going to call them? Are they also going to be professional social workers or paraprofessional social workers? So if we can specify that, I think it will be good. And section 14, point number 1, recognition and registration. Of course, you say that professional social work qualifications, but I think it will be better if you can also state there, bachelor or master degree in social work. It is there, the prescribed word is there, but I think it will be better if you can specify that also. And regarding the renewal, as Sandra was saying, it talks a lot about the social work educators, but not so much about the social work practitioners. Here it is talking about the renewal. For educators, you say they have to follow the UGC norms for attending orientation, the refresher courses. And for registration of professional social work practitioners also, you say that at least one continuing education program they should have attended. I don't know how far that will be feasible or applicable. We can also say, because from my experience, I don't go for a course, but I do participate in a lot of conferences, seminars, go for training other people. So that can be included here, I think. Participation in conferences or seminars, instead of saying a training program, that change can be made here. And offenses and penalties for individuals, section last one. It's very good, Actually, what we see is that in government departments, for example, in Tamil Nadu, we have the Slum Clearance Board or the Social Welfare Department. There will be post marks for social worker, and with great difficulty. I remember during our student days, we fought not to get a social worker post in hospitals, in this Slum Clearance Board also, we fought and got it. But what is happening now is they are giving it to ME sociology, any such courses also they are giving. So it is very good you have brought that point here, that whatever course is allocated for social worker should be given only to the professional social worker. That is a very good point. And yeah, about this final thing, as I was saying in the beginning, this gray area is always there, especially in practice when you are practicing the social work as a professional. And the disciplinary aspect, I just have a doubt or a fear, especially at this point of time, what is happening in our country. Social work, as you have said in the objective and all, you have to work on policy, bring about changes. So certain policies are against the people, and social workers are involved, in advocating with the government, in fighting against these policies, in raising our voice against it. So I just have a fear. Suppose if a social worker is raising his or her voice against this, or fighting against the government, lobbying, whether that will be, anyhow the council will come under the government. So whether that person can be penalized, registration taken away, he or she will not be a social worker. So how are we going to look at this issue? What kind of provision can we make in this bill? That is one fear or ray of doubt I'm having in my mind when I'm going through this bill. Otherwise, I really feel very happy that at least now we have this kind of effort toward forming this council. Because long back when we were doing social work and all, I remember my relatives used to ask me, because many of our relatives were doing social work. So they used to say, why to study? Do you need to study for a social work? No, that kind of questions they used to ask. And my mother, though not educated, I always say this for this, used to tell them, yes, we can say that we have fish curry in our house. Everyone has fish curry, but there is a difference. Now, what kind of fish you are using? So that's the difference the social work education makes it. So that's the way we need to show, the bill has to show what is the uniqueness. Now, what is the difference? Now, what added value we are going to give, and how we can really look at social work as a profession. So again, thanks to the group for drafting this bill. And as Sanjay Bhatia earlier said, Professor Sanjay, that we should all rally together, all the social workers. This is a time where we can all come together, rally for it, and bring about the passing of this bill and take it into an act, so that it will benefit the coming, the next generation of social workers also, and will also encourage more people to become more as professional social workers, to work with that kind of capacity. Thank you very much for this talk.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for elaborately raising the concerns of a practitioner. Yes. Especially when you said the last one, being practicing social action, a method of social work. We should not become penalized, and that should not be a clause for removing from the membership. So that, yes, that makes a real sense. And now before allowing the participants to share their thoughts, I would call upon Gandhidas sir or Sanjay Bhatt sir to respond to whatever the points raised by Professor Sandra Joseph and Dr. Vajradisam.
Thank you, but I would only say we will go back to the drawing board.
Okay.
Listening to everybody, but let the views come. That would be my request. Thank you for giving the opportunity. Maybe Sanjay will tell, because he represents our group now on this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sanjay sir, any comments before we listen to the participants?
I have seen the chat box. There are some questions.
Yes, sir.
But what my co-panelist Dr. Sandra has said, and what the senior social work educator Madam Barjil has said, I see some points in that, and we have considered few of them. I will not defend the bill here, because the purpose is not to defend what we have written.
Exactly.
Purpose is to get it enhanced. So we will rethink on that, especially when about the introduction of the basic level, professional level, and specialized professional level. Sandra ma'am has introduced some good new concept, And I only just want to tell you one thing. The new education policy we were pursuing at NAPSWI from the day the draft came. And we continuously pursued, and that is why, if you will see the draft and the policy, there is a inclusion of this trained social worker. Earlier they said the social worker, and we were wanting the professional social worker. We are aware of this fact, but my only worry is that if social work institutions do not go to follow this new education policy, where we have so many students, those who are having some kind of a specialized knowledge about the school social work. So I think that this is the right time when the different policies, new education policy, health policy, the water policy, we have to search the space and scope for social work, and we have to bring back it into our course curriculum. And many things will come when this council will come. Like when we say standardization, maybe that most of the schools or most of the institution might have to follow 80-20% course, 80% normal course, and with the 20% flexibility, or maybe 70-30 or something like that. So many new changes will come, because I believe council is not the panacea of all ills of the social work education, or for that sake any council is not the response to the all problems in any profession existing. So with us also, many problems we have to deal at ourselves, and we have to start thinking on that. Why I said this? Because I see that last 20 years have been very enriching in terms of the curriculum, in terms of the awakening. If you look at the history of organizing social work, most of the state councils, most of the state organizations grew in this century. Most of the present organizations of social work, they are also part of this century. So what I see, that there is a lot of new things coming up in social work, and that we have to encash. Right. So if there will be question specifically for us, for me, I will defend. I will try to give the answer. And few points. One more point. What she said about deprofessionalization and reprofessionalization and post-professionalization. I believe that there is a point that, but this is a philosophy which has come. We have not yet entered into the phase of professionalization. So certain countries is going to the deprofessionalization, but we will be in the first phase in that category. So I think once act will come, we have to develop and we have to define many other things. No bill can be perfect in one go. That's what we believe. So the beginning has to be made. Please.
Thank you, Sanjay sir. May I now request Professor Francis Adekalam to share his thoughts. He has some questions.
Thank you, Andrew, for allowing me to come in. Let me just, I remember that we had this meeting in 2012 where we had regional-wise consultations on how do we proceed. So it is good that we have a comprehensive bill right now with us. I have a point to make with regard to the bill. Also, as Sandra was raising points on looking at the new education policy, let me also highlight some aspect of it which must concern all of us. With regard to the bill, Chapter 2, Section 3, Establishment of the Council, under that B2, Section 3, B2, it says selection process, procedures in selecting members. The procedure and selection of members is not clearly spelled out in the bill. We are aware of the fact that how even many commissions, how the process or procedure itself is problematic. People have played RTA and other things. So it must be very clear how the procedures are actually listed in the bill itself, because we are starting with this. So that's the first of my observation. Other than that, people have already talked about it. Let me just go on to the new education policy 2020. which talks about multiple things. For example, it talks about 4 major hierarchy in terms of working. It talks about Higher Education Commission of India. Under that, we have this Higher Education Regulatory Council, and then we have a meta accrediting body like National Accrediting Council (NAC), and then we have Higher Education Grants Council, and then General Education Council. So I think we need to keep this in mind. The reason why I'm saying is they're talking about, as Sandra was saying, multidisciplinary education, and they're talking about research intensive university, and so when they talk all these things, there are multiple colleges in Maharashtra and other places which are standalone colleges for social work alone, which do not have this expansion of whole thing what as they were envisaging. So how are we going to look at those things for us in terms of looking at those aspects? Also fragmenting further into the form of super speciality, because the policy talks about we should not be going forward in terms of super speciality in our approach, where rather it must be just synergizing of all these things, the graduate as well as in the postgraduate level. Whereas we do have specialization based education in our social work. So how are we going to understand this? Because it's a larger thing. Once these things are come into picture, then we may have to be very, very well prepared for it. Especially they're talking about professional standards setting bodies, PSSB, which I would say that except for medical council and legal council, they have not included these 2 councils alone as a part of the national education policy. All of the councils are come under these professional standard setting bodies. So are we and some of the things what they mentioned, for example, Indian Council for Agricultural Research, as well as Veterinary Council of India, some of the things are not from the law itself. They're not come from the legal. They do not have legal standing, but they have councils on their own. So there are some already regulatory bodies which are having legal backup. Some do not have a legal backup. So under these circumstances, they are planning for a professional standard setting bodies altogether. However, we as Social Work Council is going to fit in this particular element. So that's the other concern that I have. We need to keep that in also in mind. And finally, my other thing is with regard to the accreditation itself. They are promote NAC is going to promote both of a private partnership, light but tight. That's what they mentioned in the education policy. In that case, if there is going to be more of a private partnership of the looking at the quality, how relevant social work bill itself, council itself, under that particular domain, because all the whatever that has been recommended, some of the things are recommended are actually being in place. They have changed Ministry of Education now, so things are getting changed. In fact, in Punjab University, I was reading that they've also changed the Senate and the other bodies into more of a governing body, like IITs and IIMs that are actually being governed. So I think we need to keep these in mind when we also write the bill, and which would actually have a lot of impact and ramification for not only for social work schools, but also for the accreditation as well as for the quality of social work education itself.
Yeah, Andrew, I believe his mic is frozen.
I think, yeah, okay. I think, yeah, he has some network issues. Okay. So maybe now I invite participants. If you have any questions, you can unmute your mic. It's not just questions. It can be compliments. It can be suggestions. It can be concerns, but be specific. Yes, there are many questions in the chat box. Members who have put up chat Muttamari Gowda sir, you can unmute yourself and you can ask your question. Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I am from Bangalore, Karnataka.
Please go ahead.
I am happy that we are discussing about Council of Social Work. But I want to know whether this Council of Social Work will helpful in our. We have many problems, especially recruitment. And even though we have a BSW, it's not recognized all over India. Some states have BSW, some states don't have. So how our Council of Social Work will help us to implement all this? That's the one question. And second one, even though there are many national where the guidelines says that companies recruitment of social worker, most of done. There are still vacant. So how our council will help us to ones? That's two questions I have, sir.
Yes. Your question
sir.
is taken. Your question is taken. Maybe we will wait for the panelists to speak, or we'll wait for the other questions so that we can together we can answer.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I think let's take more questions and then we will answer, because otherwise it will be one-to-one dialogue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sampath, now you can raise your question. Sampath is one of the executive committee members of the PSW. Sampath, you can raise your questions now. Sampath, you've unmuted your mic, but you're not audible yet. Okay. Sampath, are you hearing me, or I'll move on to Mr. Maridas? Maridas, sir, my senior, please.
Yeah. Good evening.
Nalla irukkinga?
Nalla irukka. Very good.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So very nice to hear about Council for Social Work. So I completed MSWA in 1997. So that time also this was a talk, and so even in 2020 we are talking about recognition. Yes, of course, it is a valid point. So especially my main point is mostly to appreciate only, because I am in corporate social responsibility. So now we are seeing that there are 2% CSR expenditure has to be incurred for CSR. So companies making a huge profit, they have to do CSR and all. But actually, if we are looking at the CSR posting filled up, is mostly by corporate communication professionals, because they know to present or to make pick up something from somewhere. So, and especially they can highlight. So that is one thing. On the other hand, when you look at the BC, they were talking about welfare officer in industry. Quietly, it went off. Then I even remember in CSR, they were talking about ISO 26000 on standard. Then because of standardization was the issue, so they dropped it. So there are a couple of issues coming up everywhere, and especially among social workers. So this is a big challenge. That's why we are not able to gain a place and to extend the support. So this is the right forum and right effort. I think we are on the right track. And also we see somewhere this positions are post when somebody goes from own college or somebody knows some referral, it goes in a different way. So whether somebody is qualified or not, because during the presentation also I have seen. So whether there is qualification or professionally trained people are recruited, no, it is most of the time now it goes for referral and so many things. So we have a long way to go, and I definitely appreciate this is a right initiative, and so let us take it forward.
Thank you, Maridasana. So any other members? Sampath, do you want to come in now? Sampath? Okay. Many questions were posted in the chat box. Maybe if Alka madam or any other person who want to raise, you want to voice out your questions that you have typed in the chat box, you are welcome right now.
Okay, you can also read out the.
Yeah, I read it, but if they themselves want to post it, they're welcome.
Sir, may I ask some questions?
Yes, Ramesh.
Okay. Sir, what is the next step? So once these consultations are over, because I think there are so many times we did attempted to get this council, and somehow we did not achieve both state and national level. So what is the next step, and how we are going to move forward? Any timelines? So that's one question. And some comments about our draft is this selection, that word, to choose a chairperson or a member is something, needs a lot of, definition, because I know that it can be biased. So that's all, sir.
I will only answer for this next step. Once we redo our work after all the consultations, as Professor Sanjay Bhatt said, all of us have to raise to act. That raise to act also we have already done what to do, how to do. And I think it will be back to all these associations again. Informally and formally, we'll ask you to move the government. We will tell the appropriate time. Once the final bill is ready, once we submit to the government, I think we would be requesting all the association members, as Professor Sanjay mentioned, 5 lakhs, but we have not reached 5,000 in petitioning. Therefore, I think there will be a request to all the members, individual, collective, everything, because we have done 500 people organizing a protest. I think we can have 5,000 now.
More, sir.
Next step is ready, but we are waiting to conclude the broad consultation nationwide. And we are doing a nationwide consultation. After that, we will go back to the drawing board and we will redraw based on the consensus what is best possible. But point is, all cannot be consumed right now. The point is, let us start somewhere, and that is where we have to move. So there will be a concluding bill, and once that is done, all of us, I'm saying, not you or me, all of us have to act concertedly to move the government for the bill. This time, we should not fail. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we have a national association, so it's very easy also, and then definitely.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Right. One moment, Professor. Mr. Cyril is speaking. Maybe
Cyril is speaking.
No, I'm saying now we have a national association, not like before. So we have a national level association, and then we are all united now, and then definitely we can achieve this process. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Susan, ma'am, it's your time.
Hello. On the onset, I would like to congratulate Cyril and other partners who have been able to organize this on a very important bill that we are considering as social workers. I am a practitioner for 17 years now, working in field of de-addiction and various other fields and stuff like that. So I have just had a preliminary look, and I want to basically understand like how is it going to actually reflect upon or give out a vintage to the practitioners in India. Like if you are a practitioner in UK or US, you have a license, you have a standardized pattern of being paid, you are recognized as a professional. So I don't see, I mean, maybe I failed to see anything of that mentioned. See, I believe that this is not just about the council that we are trying to make, but it's a bill which is talking about practitioners and educators in an equal sense. So as I congratulate the organizers, I also have a suggestion that one such should be done with the leading practitioners in the field, meaning people who are practicing with NGOs or CSR, just as Sir was mentioning. So maybe we could get some more ideas. I mean, I might have failed to understand from the draft that I've seen so far, but if can Suman or especially Sanjay sir can give me some enlightenment on the same, I'd want to study more as well on the draft. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, Susan, ma'am. As you said, this meeting in itself, we have practitioners, we have educators, we have people from corporate, from HR background. Yeah, we have a wider participation, wider range of participation. But still, as you said, Sanjay sir said we have 5 lakh social workers, and we have only 70, 80 of them sitting here. Okay, even if it's going to be another 20 different consultations going to be organized by different state level, regional level associations.
Right.
Again, it's going to be only 2,000 or 3,000 participants.
Right.
We need to reach out to more, and we might require support, because it's not should not happen only at the level of the associations, and everyone should be part of at least one association. Of course, one association. But how many of the participants here have registered to an association is again a question. So that's very important. And this bill is not restricted only to the associations. Everyone can be part of the concerns you can share. Maybe after this discussions, we will send you a format. We will send you a format for collecting your concerns, suggestions also, so that you can share it with your friends, your colleagues, so that we can get a wide range of suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I had one more. Yes.
Yeah, Andrew, please go.
One more friend raised hand from DSSW. Maybe you want to go ahead with the question, or done? Ashish, you had a question, no?
Yes, sir. Can I ask, sir?
Yeah, please.
Sir, I have put it in the chat box as well. Like when we are talking of forming a council, right? So what are our focal points? Like we are focusing on the social work education, the professional growth of the discipline, or the protection of the rights of the social workers, or the forming the duties. What are the duties? There are several points when we talk of forming a council, right? So when we are talking here about forming the council of the social work, what exactly we are focusing on? And add on just a suggestion. This is my question, and a suggestion I would like to put here is, like, we have many associations of social workers running parallelly in India as well, like Karnataka, CAPS, and Bombay, and several organizations. What I feel that there should be an association for each and every state, so that they can collectively accommodate their social workers, their professional social workers. Like we are saying that we are in number 5 lakh, and we are attending here just 83 of we are present here, right? So somewhere I feel that there should be an institution in state as well, each state as well. Okay, thank you.
We have association at the state level, Ashish. Many states, for example, even in the beginning of the meeting, Sanjay sir was speaking about Jammu and Kashmir Association, Kerala's association. Of course, the association is placed in Tamil Nadu right now, but we have members from different places. But the point is, we also have Karnataka Association, Kerala Association. There are many associations. Okay, thank you.
So should I go, Andrew, to respond to some of the question, some of the clarification?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Well, on the onset, thank you very much for raising some of the very good questions along with the co-panelist. Some quick questions and quick bite I will take you, starting from the last participant who raised the issue. What is the focal point of this council? Probably he missed my initial introduction. I said there are 7 functions. So whatever he is saying, this is on the education, this is on the practice, this is on the continuous education, this is on the association, all aspect. It is not the one aspect. Second thing, always the legislation is a very crisp presentation. Every word which is written in the legislation, in bill, or when bill becomes an act, it may culminate into 10 pages, So you have to read this bill between the lines. Many things we have written. As we said, continuous professional development. What does it mean? It means that we are going to take care of those who have passed out from the institution and went to for job. Maybe after 5 years, 10 years, they may not be aware of the newer development which is taking place into the research, and this is coming into. So we would like to update their knowledge, and there will be continuous educational development program, CPDE, and professional development. That is one part. And at the same time, we are saying the standard of education. That means we are talking that there are certain colleges or schools like Tata Institute and Delhi School or Madras School, which have a 20 faculty or 200 faculty, and there are schools and colleges which are 2 faculty members, 3 faculty members, and there are multiple discipline. In a college, there are different subjects. Now, we have to take care of them also when we say standard of education. It is not, we can't put everything in black and white. We have to put certain words and phrases into that situation. There is a very interesting point which Ramesha has asked. What is the next step? The next step is this. In the first stage, what we want to do, we want to make the people aware about the council. I think this is the first time that we have gone nationwide to tell the people that a council constitutes like this. And council will talk about the practitioner, council will talk about the education, council will talk about the standard, council will talk about the curriculum framework, council will talk about the chairperson, there will be meeting, there will be expert panel, something like that we have come out first time. And what we are going to make it more clear, it is a basically education and awareness component through this dialogue building. So we are creating this dialogue that let everybody come. Let everybody participate. So this is a process of engaging and involving. Many people do not know how council will adversely affect them. There are points when council will come, regulation will come. Some people may be adversely affected, but some people will be, benefited also. So there are always pro and cons of every aspect. We try to bring out into this. And through these discussions, we are trying to tell the people. Now, there is one very important question. It says whether it will be MSW degree is important or MA social work is important. We have very passionately attached with the MSW. But I will give you why many universities have changed their degree MA social work. There was a recruitment in Punjab National Bank 35 years ago for the position of they called the PWO, Personnel and Welfare Officer. They have written that masters in arts, science, commerce, and management. Now, MSW, those who were having MSW, they said, tell us where you place yourself. So neither you are master of art nor science, nor, there this move came. Then secondly, in many universities, this faculty system, the degrees are being clubbed with the faculty. So faculty of arts, and faculty of arts gives masters in arts. So this have come out as a master of, or faculty of social science. So this different nomenclature is being, some people even call department of MSW. Where you work, MSW department. This is the power of our popularity. And this popularity came because of the labor welfare. 1948 Factories Act, Mines Act, Plantation Act. Their MSW has been written for welfare officers. So for some years, we were only producing welfare officers. So degree has a value. Probably after coming council, we may recognize MA social work, we may recognize MSW. There may be more nomenclature. I do not know what Sandra is saying. There can be master of social care. So at the moment, saying it not appropriate on my part because I'm representing a group. So I'm not saying that it will be MSW or MA social work, but there is always a historical background about every term. Now, there is a question about the new education policy. The gentleman, I forgot his name, he has very correctly said that there is a professional setting, standard setting bodies. That's new education. Yeah, that new education policy is saying, and we agree with. And this act is in a direction towards that. If suppose we have this council, probably this council will be recognized as a professional setting standard body. then you may not be requiring. Because I tell you, recently we have got a bill passed, hospital and this other bill. There are 40 councils of different nature. For physiotherapist there is a council, for occupational therapist there is a council, for social worker there is a council. So I think the protection of job, promotion of job, defining the job description, they all will come under the council itself. I just give you one example. There was a advertisement 4 or 5 years back in Rajasthan, and this gentleman wrote in the advertisement, MSWs need not to apply. I took him on the task. I said, on what basis? Where is the government circular that you said MSWs cannot be applied? They have to withdraw their advertisement. So what we need concerted advocacy effort. So, what I want to tell, the next step is consolidation of this bill, presented to the government. My request to everyone present here is that why don't you write to the Prime Minister? आप अपने मन की बात Prime Minister को बताओ ना. Tell your मन की बात to Prime Minister that we want a council. How many of us have ever written a single letter to any ministry? Not many of us. So I urge upon all the professional social workers to write. Those who can write in newspapers, please try to write in newspaper. Some of my friends have started. This is school social work. We could bring it only from draft to the main policy because we have started writing in the newspapers. Extensively written in Hindi and English about the school social work. Some of the newspaper cutting are available on NAPSV website because we have started as a campaign. Appoint school social workers in schools. So, that campaign has culminated to bring only one word in the whole policy, trained. And now we are trying to define who's a trained social worker. So I have started writing to the ministry that trained social worker means professionally qualified social worker. So this is what we have to do. And our next step should be to write to as many as people, to as many as IAS, to as many as secretaries, to as many as commissions, whatever we can write, that we need a council for promoting and enhancing the social work education and practice. This is what we can do. For BSW, somebody has raised the question. I tell you that UGC has come out a syllabus. It is called LOCF, Learning Outcome Based Curriculum Framework. It has made the social work curriculum framework on national level. It is available on the UGC website. In time to come, I believe anywhere there will be a BSW course, this syllabi will be applicable. And this syllabi operates on 75 to 25% basis. 75% you have to take from this syllabus compulsorily, and 25% you can do it according to your local and geographical space, whatever changes you want to make. So this is what towards the standardization. This standardization is not uniformitization. It is not uniformity. We don't want to teach from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, same syllabus. We want that local, geographically specific component should come there. And that is why I said, if you read, flexibility is one cornerstone of this bill. We believe in the flexibility. We believe in the innovation. Some new models will come. You will develop some new models, not I or not Professor Gandhidas. You will develop some new models which will come into this bill. And that is why there is. So I think we are not repeating any template that we will do this. Our next step, as Professor Gandhidas has said, is to consolidate this bill, bring out the national consensus, and then we'll give it to the ministry, give it to the Niti Aayog, that this is the bill, what we want. But we need your force behind that push. And in democracy, everybody needs push now, if you have to come. And unfortunately, if we stop working or we go on a strike, nobody is going to notice. Nurses go on a strike, everybody notice. Doctor go on a strike, everybody notice. So now we have to bring ourselves up to that level that at least people understand, yes, social service workforce is important. And these are what they are doing. This is a good work which they are doing. I believe that is what, required. Somebody has asked a question about 11th and 12th level. In Kashmir, the move is on to introduce social work at 11th and 12th level. And I believe that when Professor Gandhidas was there, he has also been the instrumental in bringing out. So maybe we have started talking. One day we will be start walking, and one day we will get it into the shape. So this is what my next step is, and our next step should be to push it and to make it more clear that we want this bill, we want this act, we want council. I could not respond many questions. I believe time is also not there, but hope to respond at some other platform. This is just beginning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sanjay sir. May I request Sandra ma'am or Virgil ma'am, if you have anything to add to Dr. Sanjay, you are welcome.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible, ma'am.
I really appreciate Professor Sanjay Bhatt's interventions here. And all that I said, I just want to reiterate, is looking a little bit deeper. I was just looking a little bit ahead, and a kind of a cautionary note. Should we be looking into these aspects like, minimum standards? What are the minimum standards? What is accreditation? Who are the accrediting bodies? What the nomenclature and all of that? I think like he said, this is a beginning. Yes, we will make the beginning, and I'm very sure that we will make a head start on this. But it's important also to look and to clarify and to include in the definitions these terms that we have used in the bill for more clarity's sake. That's all I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Before moving on to Virgil ma'am, if she has anything, I would like to also make this point that there has been reference about distant mode of education in the draft, which was accredited in 3 places. Professional Social Workers Association has always been taken a stand that we should not allow distant mode of learning, because especially being a professional course and a training requires concurrent field work and hand-holding in the learning process. Offering social work at the distant mode will not be helping in bringing the standard, because it's not the standard of education, it's the standard of the quality of service we are going to render to our beneficiary population. So I think we need to have a stand on whether we are going to have a distant mode in the we are going to acknowledge distant mode in the council. Thank you.
Yes, Andrew?
Yes, ma'am. You're audible, ma'am.
Thanks to everyone who are putting their points. It's nice to see the discussion going on, and also the expectation to initiate action. And as Professor Sanjay said, I think it's a time when all of us need to come together, all the social workers. And I think one participant has raised the issue of protection for the social workers. Actually, I wanted to mention it during my presentation also. Somehow I just forgot that. So that is also a very, very important component that needs to be included in the bill. Good, he has pointed it out. No protection. I talked about protection on issue base. When they are entering into issue based action, but also at the level of the monitor. For example, the bar councils, they give some kind of compensation to the junior lawyers, the fresh graduates. So later stage, maybe we need to look at those kind of things also. Some support to the practitioners or the professional social workers. That component can be included in the draft. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Lalita, ma'am.
Thank you, Professor Andrews. So I have a question to the panelists. Like I've read the bill. So in one of the section like definitions, it is mentioned that what the professional social worker can do. So it means it has given the functions. But what I want to ask is whether there will be a definition like what is social work, because whether do we want to follow the international definition, or or we are going to have our own Indian social work definition? So I just want to ask.
Yeah, we have deliberated on this question very well. In the section 2, we have described the professional social work with many angles. We were also aware that this bill will go to the parliament. And in parliament, there are more than 30% parliamentarian who believes that they are also social worker. So we have drafted it little bit, keeping that fact also in the mind. But if you will look at the preface of the bill, we are talking about our core values. We are talking about philosophies. We are talking about what social work stands for. So that background we have set into the preamble. And while describing, we are saying these are professional social worker. Madam Virgil has raised one point regarding the last point of the definition. So what we are going to do, we are going to revisit that definition, and we will see that if it requires any change into it, and if it will require it change, we will definitely make the little bit changes into it. So the whole idea of putting different set of things is after a lot of discussion, and this definition, if you section 2G and point number 6, which says organizing social work education, which Madam Bijal has pointed out, we will make it more, well knitted in such words that others do not infiltrate in it. So we are trying to create our fort in such a way where only professional social workers can enter. And that is why I said that every bill, every act has certain things between the lines and with a minimum words, more explanatory. This is how.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. And is there any, because as I read through the draft, there's no reference about state level councils. Will it be part of this draft, or will it come as your in the rules?
Yes, please, Professor Gandhidas, you want to say something?
No, it's there. You go ahead.
Okay. We have also discussed this, that whether we should have a state council in the same fashion as we have a national council. We have interwoven that component into, while we said composition. If you look at the membership of the composition, there we said that there will be members from the state association,
yes.
State council. So I once again repeat what I said in the beginning. If we would have said that there will be like a state council, like Human Rights Commission bill, or like Child Right Protection Council, then probably it will be too demanding. But if states like you recommend that there should be a specific mention, we don't mind to do that. That is why this consultation is there.
There's only one point about state council is this we discussed in our group quite at length. We reviewed a number of councils of various things. What happened is there is a lot of cross purposes going on, cross ventilations and cross conflicts. Therefore, let us avoid all that in the beginning. Let us start one council. Then as we proceed further, I think the state council will come up. So if we rock it up now only, there will be too many conflicts, and there will be, it will take a political stand in the government setup. Therefore, we will avoid this for the time being, but provisions have been made. That's what. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jayant? Jayant, yes, it's your time. Jayant? Jayant, you want to speak?
How far this is valid? Your time you should watch, I think.
It's already 5:55. Okay. So Jayant, if you don't have any questions, maybe we can, Cyril sir, do you have any final words to add?
No, Andrew. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. So thank you very much, all the panelists. If Gandhi sir or Sanjay Bhatta, if you want to leave any final words, you are open now. Thank you. And
my final words is that take a pledge that you have to unite and start writing
Yes,
to
sir.
the concerned people.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
And before that, I will also say, as Gandhidas sir and Sanjay sir said, and in Sandra also said, one of the major role of a professional is to be part of an association. Okay, we have lots of association and we don't have much of members. We speak a lot about quality. We speak a lot about group work, community action, social action, but coming together and representing as one voice. Okay, and that you can do only being a member of we don't say just PSWA, any association in your place, in your state, in your so please do join in associations and strengthen, participate at least once in 3 months. I won't say even every week, every month, at least once in 3 months do participate in their activities so that we can all make up a strong body, make it visible, and having more voice is all about political visibility. And this political visibility only can bring in change. So thank you everyone for joining us. And I request everyone to please register in the link which I've shared in the chat box so that we'll be able to share with you the outcomes of this discussion. And we can also call you for more comments and suggestions. Thank you so much. I will keep the chat box for some more time so that you will be able to respond to the chat box. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Gandhi sir, for spending your entire time here. And Sir Sanjay sir for giving your time and taking us through the understanding. And Sandra ma'am and Virgil ma'am for detailing us about the different perspectives and where we need to have more understanding and more clarity on the Social Work Council. And all the participants who have added value by your questions. So thank you. Please continue your support. Let us all together create a world fit for living for everyone. And social work is a profession for change. Let us change. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
So much.
See you sometime in Delhi.
Yeah, sure. Definitely we will meet. Thank you, Professor Gandhidas. Bye, Virgil ma'am. Nice seeing you here. Bye-bye.
Bye, Virgil ma'am.
Bye-bye. Bye, Andrew.
Thank you, sir and madam. Thanks to everyone.